Surprisingly, over 90% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. If you're enjoying the content, hit that subscribe button. It motivates us to keep creating and helps us never miss an upload. 41 hours on the job had left me drained to the bone. My body ached, my eyes burned, and every muscle begged me to collapse the second I walked through the door. But when you're a father, exhaustion becomes second nature. You push through it because your family needs you. At least that's what I believed. The house was quiet when I came in. Too quiet. Usually, my daughter Emma would come running, wrapping her little arms around my legs, excited to see me after being away so long. That night there was nothing, no laughter, no footsteps, no sound at all. The living room was neat, the kitchen clean, almost staged. I dropped my bag and headed toward the counter, thinking about pouring a glass of water before checking on Emma. That's when I saw it, my wife's phone. She never left it lying around, not once in years. It was always in her hand, in her pocket, tucked carefully in her purse. But there it was, glowing faintly with a new message notification. My first instinct was to respect her privacy, but fatigue dulls hesitation, and suspicion fills the cracks. I picked it up. The screen unlocked with a swipe, and the messages stared back at me like knives. He's still too tired to notice anything. I'll convince him it's better if Emma stays with your sister for a while. Once she's out of the picture, we can figure out the rest. My throat went dry. I scrolled further. You've been amazing. I don't know how much longer I can keep pretending with him, but soon we'll have the life we want. Just us. Another. He won't fight it. He's too exhausted. He'll believe whatever excuse we give him. I felt the ground tilt beneath me. My wife wasn't just unfaithful, she was planning a life with someone else. Worse, she was planning to push my daughter out of the way like she was disposable. My chest tightened as I set the phone down carefully, afraid to make a sound even though no one else was in the room. For a long time I stood there, staring at the counter, listening to the hum of the refrigerator, the thud of my heartbeat in my ears. Emma. I went to her room quietly. She was asleep, curled under her blanket, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Her breathing was soft and steady, unaware of the storm brewing around her. I sat by her bed for a while, brushing a strand of hair from her forehead, my mind racing. This wasn't just betrayal. It was something deeper, darker. It was an attempt to strip me of fatherhood, to rob Emma of stability, to discard me like I was nothing. I thought about waking my wife, demanding answers, unleashing the fury burning in my chest. But then I remembered the texts. She was confident. She thought I was too tired, too trusting, too blind to notice. She thought wrong. That night, I didn't confront her. I didn't shout, didn't cry, didn't demand an explanation. Instead, I quietly packed a small bag for Emma, documents, essentials, everything we'd need if things went bad quickly. Then I sat in the dark, waiting for morning, my mind sharp despite the exhaustion. When she finally came home just before dawn, she slipped through the door casually, humming under her breath, as though she had been out with friends. She stopped when she saw me sitting in the chair by the window, but she covered it with a smile. "You're home, you look exhausted. You should get some rest." I said nothing. I just watched her. That silence unnerved her more than anger ever could. She kissed my cheek, pretending nothing was wrong, then disappeared into the bedroom. Moments later, her phone buzzed again on the counter. Another message. "Morning, beautiful." Did he suspect anything? I stared at the words until they blurred. My hands trembled, but not from fatigue, from resolve. That night I had walked out emotionally. By morning, I would make sure her world collapsed the way she had planned to collapse mine. The sun was just beginning to rise when I decided sleep wasn't an option. Exhaustion clung to me like a heavy coat, but anger burned hotter than fatigue. I had faced 41 hours of nonstop work and thought I knew what tired felt like. I was wrong. Betrayal wakes you up in ways caffeine never could. My wife slept soundly in the bedroom, unaware that her life was about to change. I walked quietly through the house, my mind sharp, steady. Emma was still asleep, her little chest rising and falling with peaceful breaths. I promised myself that whatever happened, I'd protect her first. I sat at the kitchen table with her phone in front of me. It vibrated again, another message from the same number. "You were amazing last night. I couldn't stop thinking about you. Don't worry, he won't do anything. He's too weak. Weak." That single word seared into me. I wasn't weak, I wasn't blind. And I sure as hell wasn't going to be discarded like trash. I scrolled further, taking screenshots of everything. Plans to meet at hotels, jokes about how clueless I was, conversations about money, about moving states, about raising Emma somewhere else. They hadn't just fantasized. They had laid out an entire plan. I transferred everything to my own phone, then emailed copies to myself for safekeeping. Evidence wasn't just insurance, it was power. At 7 a.m, I called my friend Adam, a lawyer. He answered groggily, his voice heavy with sleep. "Martin, what's wrong?" "I need advice. Legal advice," I said quietly, glancing toward the bedroom. "If I found proof my wife is planning to take my daughter away with another man, what can I do?" There was silence on the line, then his voice sharpened. "You have proof?" "Yes." "Send me everything. Don't confront her yet. We'll move fast. Custody, finances, all of it. If what you're saying is true, you have the upper hand." I sent him the files immediately. Within minutes, he called back. "This is damning. She's plotting to alienate you from your own child. Courts don't take kindly to that. You'll need to act calm until the paperwork is filed, but trust me, you'll come out on top." Relief mixed with fury. I wasn't just reacting now. I was building a strategy. I hung up and began moving through the motions of an ordinary morning. I made coffee, cooked Emma's favorite breakfast, and packed her school bag. By the time my wife wandered out of the bedroom, yawning, I looked like nothing was wrong. "Morning," she said sweetly, leaning down to kiss my cheek. I didn't move. She froze, then smiled awkwardly, brushing it off. "Long night?" "Something like that," I replied evenly. She sat at the table, sipping coffee, scrolling through her phone. I watched her glance at the counter where she had left it the night before, realizing too late that I must have seen everything. Her face tightened, but she quickly forced a casual smile. "What time did you get in?" "Late," I said simply. Emma ran in, cheerful as ever, climbing into my lap. "Daddy, you're home!" she squealed. I hugged her tightly, inhaling the innocence I was fighting to protect. My wife smiled at the scene, but I caught the flicker in her eyes, guilt, panic, fear. She excused herself to the bathroom, and when she was gone, I checked her phone again. She had deleted every incriminating message, but she didn't realize I already had them saved. By 9, Adam had drafted the first set of documents: divorce petition, custody filing, restraining order request. He emailed them to me, advising me to sit tight until he filed them officially the next day. But he also gave me a piece of advice that stuck. Don't just leave. Make her show her hand first. Let her incriminate herself. Then you'll have more than enough to finish her. So I waited. That afternoon, she called her lover. I overheard from the hallway as she whispered, "He doesn't suspect anything. He was too tired to even talk this morning. I'll bring Emma over this weekend. After that, we'll figure out how to tell him." I recorded the entire call. When she came out, I was sitting calmly on the couch, Emma beside me, watching cartoons. My wife smiled nervously. "Everything okay?" "Perfect," I replied, my eyes locked on hers. She flinched. That night, while she cooked dinner, I pretended to nap on the recliner. Her phone buzzed on the counter again. Another message. "We'll have everything soon. Just keep playing the part. He'll give up. He always does." I forwarded it to Adam immediately. By then, my exhaustion had turned into something sharper, a cold, patient clarity. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to throw things or break down in front of her. That's what she expected. That's what she had prepared for. But what she wasn't prepared for was silence. For me to smile calmly, tuck Emma into bed, and kiss her forehead while her mother paced the hallway, waiting for an explosion that never came. After Emma fell asleep, my wife sat across from me in the living room. Her hands trembled as she reached for mine. "Martin, is something wrong? You've been quiet." I looked her straight in the eyes. "Nothing's wrong." She swallowed hard. "You're sure?" "Yes," I said softly. "I've never been more sure of anything in my life." The color drained from her face. She knew then. Maybe she didn't know how much I had seen, but she knew I wasn't blind anymore. She went to bed early, tossing and turning, while I stayed awake, reviewing the evidence on my phone one last time. Every message, every plan, every whisper. Proof that she hadn't just betrayed me. She had betrayed Emma. By dawn, Adam had filed the first documents. He sent me confirmation with one line. By morning, her world will start to collapse. I stood at Emma's door, watching her sleep peacefully, clutching her stuffed rabbit. My heart ached, but my resolve hardened. I wasn't doing this out of spite. I was doing it out of love for her. And I promised myself this. By the time the sun set again, my wife would finally understand the price of her betrayal. The morning Adam filed the papers, the air in the house already felt different. I knew the wheels were turning, even if my wife didn't. She woke up humming, trying to pretend everything was normal, but her eyes darted nervously toward me at breakfast. She could sense it. That tension you can't explain. The kind that tells you the other person knows far more than you want them to. I dropped Emma off at school and went straight to Adam's office. He had everything organized. Petitions, recordings, screenshots, even the phone logs. "You've got her boxed in," he said, handing me copies. "There's no way she can spin this in her favor. The judge will see right through her." I thanked him, then drove back home. My wife was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone, her face pale. She looked up when I walked in, forcing a smile. "You're back early." "I took the day off," I said simply. She nodded quickly, looking down at her phone again. Her hands were trembling. By noon, her lover began texting again. "Did he say anything? Are we still on for the weekend? We need to move soon before he catches on." I didn't have to touch her phone. She was so distracted she forgot to hide the screen from me. She glanced at me once, saw my expressionless face, and her entire body stiffened. She stood abruptly, pacing the living room. "Martin, I need to tell you something." I leaned back in the chair, my voice calm. "Go ahead." She faltered, words catching in her throat. I've been confused. With everything going on, with how much you work. I made mistakes, but it doesn't mean I don't love you. I was just planning to ship our daughter away with another man?" I asked evenly. Her face drained of color. What? "You heard me." I kept my tone level, almost casual. "I know everything. The messages, the calls, the plans you made behind my back. I know you wanted to move Emma out of my life so you could start fresh. With him." Tears welled in her eyes. "It wasn't like that. I didn't mean—" "Don't," I interrupted sharply. "Don't insult me with lies. You left your phone on the counter. I read every word, and now my lawyer has them too." Her knees buckled, and she sank onto the couch, sobbing into her hands. "Please, Martin, I was stupid. I didn't mean it. It was just talk. It wasn't real." "Talk?" I leaned forward, my eyes burning into hers. "You don't plot to take someone's child away as small talk. You don't meet at hotels as small talk. You don't laugh about your husband being too tired to notice as small talk." She sobbed harder, shaking uncontrollably. I stood and walked toward the door. "Pack a bag. By tonight, you'll need to find somewhere else to stay." Her head snapped up, her face blotchy and red. "What? You can't. Please, don't do this. Don't take Emma away from me." I turned, my expression cold. "You tried to take her from me first. That was your choice. This is mine." The rest of the day was chaos for her. She called her lover dozens of times, begging him to answer, but he didn't. She sent frantic messages. "He knows. He found everything. What do we do?" But none were answered. By evening, she threw her phone across the room, screaming when it shattered on the floor. That night, I tucked Emma into bed. She looked up at me with wide, curious eyes. "Daddy, why was Mommy crying today?" I kissed her forehead. "Because sometimes when people make bad choices, they don't like the consequences." "Are we okay?" she asked softly. "We're better than okay," I whispered. "I'll always be here for you." Downstairs, my wife was waiting, her bags packed. She had cried herself hoarse, her face streaked with mascara. "Please," she whispered, "don't do this. I'll change. I'll stop everything. Just don't take her away from me." I looked at her steadily. "You destroyed this marriage the moment you put him above us. You destroyed it when you plotted against me with your own daughter's future. I won't let you drag Emma down with you." She collapsed to her knees, clutching my leg, but I pulled away. "Leave," I said quietly. She stumbled out the door into the night, sobbing, dragging her suitcase behind her. I locked the door behind her and exhaled for the first time in days. The next morning, Adam called. She's already contacted a lawyer. They'll try to argue for shared custody, but with the evidence you have, it's hopeless. You'll win this. And he was right. In court, her case fell apart instantly. The judge reviewed the texts, the recordings, the plans to remove Emma from my care. Her lawyer tried to spin it as emotional venting, but the evidence was too overwhelming. The judge granted me full custody, with her limited to supervised visits. She broke down in the courtroom, wailing, begging for another chance. But the decision was final. Her lover never showed up. He cut ties completely, leaving her to face the wreckage alone. She lost her family, her reputation, her stability, all in a single strike of justice she never saw coming. As for me, I built a new life with Emma. I poured my energy into her, into being the father she deserved. She never knew the full story, just that her mother had made mistakes and couldn't be trusted the way a parent should. I shielded her from the ugliness because she deserved better than the truth her mother created. Months later, I ran into my wife by accident. She looked hollow, like a shadow of the woman I once knew. She begged again, whispering that she'd do anything to have her life back. I looked her in the eyes, calm and steady, and said, "You had everything. You threw it away. I'm not the one who destroyed you. You did that yourself." Then I walked away, holding Emma's hand tightly, leaving her standing in the ruins of her own choices. And that was my revenge. Not shouting, not violence, not humiliation, just silence, evidence, and the truth she couldn't escape. She thought she was clever, thought she could outsmart me, thought exhaustion made me weak, but by morning her whole world collapsed.